What's up, friends? Before we hop into this fired up, fun Friday show, got to tell you guys about Strava Craft Coffee. You know the deal. It is delicious, smooth CBD coffee. Of course, that CBD helps with aches, pains, headaches, migraines, anything that's going on, including the coffee jitters. It can help take off, which is important when you're sipping on a delicious cup of Strava Craft coffee. And guys, if you've used our one-time DNVR20 magical code to save 20% off, now you can subscribe to Strava Craft Coffee and save 20% off by heading to the website, subscribing, and then you also never have to enter your credit card information again. So if you've never had Strava, use that magical code DNVR20 for 20% off. If you have, subscribe and you can get your coffee sent to you every 2, 3, 4, 6, or 8 weeks. Now this noon hour, I can grab myself a cup of Strava Craft coffee and may have to do that at the DNVR bar where Strava Craft coffee is on tap. So make sure to check out the DNVR bar for Strava Craft coffee on their website. Use that magical code DNVR20. All right, fellas, let's hop into the show.
Broncos country is sitting in the south stands, drinking the Coors from Mile High, the best part of the week. Hugging a perfect stranger, they become a friend. Having a good time when the orange and blue WIN. Tuning in every day with the good folks down at DNVR.
All right, welcome in to the DNVR Broncos podcast presented by MSU Denver. Good to see the boys. MSU Denver bringing you rigorous and affordable online programs taught by professors who bring the real world into the classroom. They've got a great thing going down there. We've got DNVR people taking classes down there. Everyone raves about it. So if you need to get any sort of online education, make sure to head over to msudenver.edu/online to check out all they have to offer.
My boys, what's up? Friday edition, day before a day off. Man, it's feeling good. And like a little too much, a little too late again, chimes in, says, amped, jacked, fired up, excited, perked for this show. Let's go, baby.
Although I have to say this, Zach, when you are out at the Broncos facility and there are other reporters around, you don't say my boys quite as loudly as you do from home. And for that, my eardrums are thankful. Also, I love our theme song, but I have to ask you guys something. I'm not very good with music lyrics sometimes unless I'm reading them off the liner notes. What are you drinking from Mile High? Drinking the what from Mile High? Because all I hear is curds. Like
drinking the Breck Brews from Mile High.
There we go.
I don't. Yeah. What's the lyric? Do we know? I don't know what he's saying.
I can't legally say it on this show.
It's drinking the Avalanche Ale at Mile High.
Oh, is it? Oh man, it's a sponsor thing, huh?
Guys, I've got good news to kick off the show. I heard from you guys that on Wednesday, Mace won the competition out here. I heard yesterday Ryan won the competition. And now I took it home, guys. I won the jersey competition today. We are 3 for 3. Can't be defeated.
That should be enough for
what was the dagger there for you?
Oh, man. So did you guys have the same thing? You guys didn't tell me the setup, how there's 8 names that you have to get?
Yep.
Oh yeah, that was brutal.
Yeah, but like 5 or 6 of them are kind of gimmies, though.
Oh, there weren't very many gimmies here. The toughest one that I had to get was Elijah Holder.
Because he changed jerseys.
Oh.
Right. So can you guys get that?
Is he
34?
Boom. Boom.
Yeah.
Ryan would have brought it home for us too.
Yeah.
I had Bobenmeyer on there, Bobenmoyer on there, whatever his name is. I knew his number.
Would have gotten him. I mean, the long snapper competition, it's popping, man. It's popping.
Yeah, there's no saying screw this on this podcast with that.
All right. So today, Zach, you had a chance to see the first real heavy contact. You saw the live goal line period at the end of practice. So let's just start there. What were your observations from that, from really the first period that resembles something you're actually going to see in a game?
Starting there, Mace. That means we're starting with the good in the offense. And it was ball from the 2-yard line, ones going up against the twos on both sides. So you started off with that goal line period with the first team defense going up against the second team offense. And the first, just an absolute stuff. This run defense is looking pretty darn solid so far, Mace. There was nowhere for the running back to go. Next one, because there was no room for the running back to go, they did a little play action to Troy Fumagalli, who was open in the back of the end zone. Nice pass from Driscoll there for the touchdown. And then when it was the first team offense going up against the second team defense, no problems scoring for them. And that's why I say we start with the good in the offense. Levante Bellamy had a nice inside run for a touchdown with the first team offense, might I remind you.
Interesting.
And then we'll do a little jersey game here. Who's number 39?
Jeremy Cox, right?
Jeremy Cox with the first team running one in against the second team defense from the 2-yard line. And then you had to let Drew throw one. So you did a play action pass to Jake Butt in the end zone. So yeah, the goal line period was great to boost the offensive spirit at the end of practice, but that was just like a tiny little bit of practice. And that is one part that I guess the offense won since they had 3 shots from the 2.
Sounds like there's bad news coming for the offense.
Pretty much the rest of practice. No, they actually had one good move the ball drill as well, where they moved the ball about 80 yards in 2 minutes and 10 seconds. That was good to see. I'll break that down. But everything else besides that was defense. Defense. And the offense did not have Melvin Gordon, but the defense did not have Todd Davis, the guy who calls the plays, and Von Miller, their best player, their highest paid player, and the defense still dominated thanks to one of those backups, Malik Reed. Guys, you could have put an 8 on his jersey instead of the 9 that he has next to the 5. I wouldn't have been able to tell because he looked just as good today, and not just getting after the quarterback. The very first play of practice, he stuffed a run, and he stuffed a couple of runs throughout the day, but then he was also back in the backfield early and often. Nearly every single series that the Broncos had, he had at least one big play. So very, very impressed with him. And someone else that stuck out, especially in the run defense, I guess, and the pass defense as well, was Jarrell Casey. He really had a day today. That probably helped to open up Malik Reed a little bit too in both the run and pass game. So those two guys were dominant. Drew Lock, the running game, was able to do nothing until over midway through practice. So Mace getting a call there, I think.
Yeah. Things are kind of popping right now. Sorry.
Screw that, Mace.
Yeah, exactly. Screw this. I want to bring up Malik Reed because this is now a few days of good practices that he's put together. He was pretty strong when I was out there on Wednesday as well. I don't think there's been a day where Malik Reed hasn't made at least one notable play so far. So is it fair to say that he might be, if not the most improved player on the team, one of the most improved players on the team?
Yeah. Now he's getting a call. This guy's popular. Oh my gosh. Sources coming in left and right for Mace. Wow.
Looking like Adam Schefter out here. Got to be on the phone.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Malik Reed calling him saying, "Hey, thanks for the love on the pod."
I've been talking this guy up for a year and a half now. It's actually really cool to see how he's grown and developed, because last year, remember, he started, but there were some struggles, and we end up seeing more of Jerry Atachu down the stretch and less of Malik Reed because Reed wasn't quite grasping everything and doing as well as the Broncos needed him to, but he didn't let it get him down. He's come back with more resolve. He got some nice praise from Vic Fangio after practice today. And he's looking good. And I think it's fair to start making the Shaq Barrett comparison. Not saying he's going to be a 19 sack guy at some point, but the Shaq Barrett comparison as far as a guy who can step in rotationally and ensure that there's very little drop off.
Yeah, I think he has a bright future if you read the tea leaves.
You're Maliking me crazy with those, Ryan.
Oh, God.
Doesn't even make sense at all. There's a Malik in your logic.
Yeah, I think mine was better than that. Mace
You're killing me. You're killing me, guys. You're killing me.
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same thing about Shaq. Is what I've seen this first week of camp is he really could be that Shaq Barrett role. Of course, Shaq Barrett of the Broncos, not with the Bucks. And so we got Richard Garcia chiming in and saying, trade Vaughn for draft capital. And no, you're not.
Easy.
You're not there. You're not there because you want that Shaq Barrett coming off the bench.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that, Malik Reed and Jeremiah Atachu, when I've been out there, have looked like they're having a nice camp. And Zach, it's funny. It seems like every day you go to camp, it's a defense day. Every day I go to camp, it's a more offensive day. And every time Mace goes to camp, it's a no pads day.
I'm hoping that changes on Sunday after a rest day. They come out fired up and ready to pop each other a little bit.
Well, and Mace, I think that's an important place to start with this practice. Is you said you hope they're coming out fired up. Oh, you could tell it was the last day before an off day, 6 days of practice in a row because there was no fire in the Broncos offense. I mean, Philip Lindsay has his fire, but it was not contagious at all to the rest of the offense. Guys, the very first mini series of practice, there was absolutely nothing going on. In fact, I kid you not, for over the first half of practice, the play of practice from the offense was a little Texas route from Drew Lock to Royce Freeman. That was the play of practice so far. I'm going, holy, what am I going to say for this practice? And the offense did step it up. So not necessarily a tale of two halves, but the offense stepped it up. Near the end of practice, before that goal line situation, there was a move the ball where they started on their own 20. And the offense moved the ball very nice. It started and ended. I guess it started with Cortland Sutton. He made many catches. The first one really got the drive going. And so Drew said, screw this. I'm just going to go back to Cortland Sutton over and over and over again. And so that's what he did to move the ball. And then 3rd and 7 from the 7, I believe like 10 seconds left in the game. 3rd and goal from the 7. Drew Lock drops back, throws one into the corner of the end zone for Tim Patrick. Tim catches it. Does he get both feet in? In the review, it looked like he did get both feet in. So that was the play of the day there because it was great footwork by Tim Patrick. A good ball from Drew Lock. And then they ran it back one more time just in case it wasn't complete. And with 2 seconds left from the 2 on 4th down, Drew Lock overthrew threw the ball out of the end zone. So we're going to say that it was a score for the Broncos with Tim Patrick.
Now, I wanted to ask, though, because you mentioned Royce Freeman's name. We talked about Malik Reed for Von Miller. How did Royce look today?
Royce stepped in and looked like he was wearing jersey number 25 in terms of his participation in practice. He filled in Melvin Gordon's spot seamlessly. I was surprised. I thought Phil was going to be the bell cow without a doubt, or at least get 70% of the plays. And then you get Royce Freeman, 28% of the plays. And then you get number 39, 2% of the plays maybe. And no, they didn't do that. It was split even 50-50 with Phil and Royce. So I was surprised by that. Maybe, the Broncos are saying this is a 1, 2, 3-headed monster out here running back. I was shocked that they didn't give Philip Lindsay more touches.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I forgot to mention it yesterday. I was going to say Curtis Modkins listened to the podcast the other day because we said you can't call it a three-headed monster if Royce Freeman gets no first-team carries. Well, even with Melvin out there yesterday, he was getting some first-team touches. So maybe they're serious about that. Real quick, I have to eat my crow or take my medicine on giving credit, because you talk about getting your feet in the back of the end zone. Well, yesterday I mentioned that a referee called it a touchdown, and of course it later comes out that Brandon McManus was that referee. And so I think I'll go back to trusting my eyes in saying that Albert Okwuegbunam was not in on the back of the end zone yesterday.
So you're saying that the NFL, in its efforts to get some former players to be officials, because it's something that they've worked on over the years, and now you do have some ex-players in the officiating ranks, you're saying that Brandon McManus is not going to be the next guy, joining guys like Steve Freeman, for example?
No, I don't think so. Although I did agree with the player who in the background said, "You look more like a referee than a football player."
Oh.
Man, that's cold. Ice cold.
Zach, there's a few questions here that are similar coming in, and I want to know the answer to this too. First, it's from one and only 03, who says, this sounds like an indictment on Elijah Wilkinson talking about Malik Reed. And then Eduardo Jordan says, do you guys think there's a chance that the OLBs appear to be so good because our OTs are awful?
When it's Von Miller going up against him, you can give him the benefit of the doubt, right?
Yep.
But when Malik Reed looks like Von Miller out there, it does make you question that. And that was something that I certainly thought about for the second half of practice. And because we've been seeing it day after day after day, no matter who's against him, I do have to say that that's certainly now a big role in this as well.
Yeah, that is a little. You're totally right when you say, like, okay, you know, if you're getting worked by Bradley Chubb and Von Miller, that's what's supposed to happen. Those guys are being paid to beat you like that. Malik Reed and Jeremiah Atachu are not.
No, they're absolutely not. Good news is Bowles did play fine on the left side today after having his big press conference yesterday. And Drew, like I said, it was Jarrell Casey and Malik Reed collapsing the pocket a lot of the time today. He also had Draymond Jones in there on a sack as well. But it's not like Drew was constantly under pressure because it was only coming from a few spots on the line.
Interesting. All right, let's go through the requisite questions here. Who's getting the center reps today?
Oh, we had Patrick Morris today, and didn't mention his name yet. That's a good thing. It's a good thing when you don't mention the name from a center. He had a solid day. A solid day is what I'll say. I don't want to go too far out on a limb.
Did he get all the reps, or was there a split in duties between him and Koenigsberg?
Nope, it was Patrick Morris all day. Koenigsberg was exclusively with the twos today.
Okay, interesting.
Can we get a Jerry Judy update?
Today? Who? No.
Damn.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. Like, I haven't seen Jerry Judy. You know, I've seen how good he is in his routes on the side, but I haven't seen him have that breakout day. And like I said, when Drew needed it today, he was going to Cortland Sutton. Mace, just like you said 2 days ago, Judy Cortland started practice with the drop, and then he bounced back and was very solid. So that maybe you got to throw the ball his way at the start of every game. Let him get the drop out of the way so then you can go back to him, because then he's going to be reliable and catching everything.
So first and 10 from the 25-yard line to open every game. It's going to be a quick out to Cortland that he's going to drop, and then he's going to go off after that. There you go.
Yep, exactly. Because in that final 2-minute drill that the Broncos did, you had Drew just looking Cortland Sutton's way every single time. And yeah, not an indictment on Jerry Judy. He just didn't do anything today.
Bummer. I'm sorry, Zach, that you haven't seen some of the highlights that we've been able to see so far. Okay, next thing that I want to know is third corner. How are those guys looking out there today?
Started off with Isaac or with Devontae Bosby. He looked solid all throughout practice, and then you brought in Isaac Yadam, and he got beat by Cortland Sutton on the very first throw of that 2-minute drill. But again, I would say pretty solid. Today I'd give the nod definitely to Yadam. Saw Devontae Harris out there a little bit, and Ojemudia, I did not see him out there at all. It really seems like he's taken a back seat in this corner job, which is 3 guys right now.
Yeah, I think it kind of seems like, Zach, that this was the dawn of the dead. Like, all these guys that have kind of been written off a little bit are having nice days. Royce Freeman had a nice day. Isaac Yiadom had a nice day. Patrick Morris had a nice day. All these guys who, people, including me, might have been ready to start counting out, maybe making a little bit of a push here.
Yeah, I mean, throw Jarrell Casey in there, because the Tennessee Titans said he was dead when they traded him to the Broncos for that 7th round pick.
Yeah, the only thing that's dead is that general manager.
Hey, you got to come up with the money for Derrick Henry somewhere, but yes.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And guys, some good news on the injury front. Good news. While Von Miller, Todd Davis, and
KJ
and Melvin Gordon didn't practice today. Good news after practice, we find out that Von Miller and Melvin Gordon are day-to-day with their injuries, not serious injuries at all. And Todd Davis is expected to miss at least 1 week, which may seem bad on the surface, but there was a concern that it was going to be potentially months that he was going to miss. So they'll reevaluate after a week. It's the other calf than last year, and it's not as serious as the one last year. So would you like Todd Davis in there for the 2nd week of camp? Absolutely you would. Do you need him in there the 2nd week of camp? No, because he's one of the most veteran guys on your defense, so you don't need him.
Yeah, you know what he can do. What I want to ask you, though, Zach, is Josie Jewell getting the first team reps today. How did he look? Solid.
He was solid. He did get beat by Royce Freeman on that Texas route, but other than that, he was solid. He looks like Josie Jewell, a guy who's going to be solid in the run game. If you're getting beat by Royce Freeman on Texas routes in the middle of the field, probably not the best at coverage, and that's what we expect. What was interesting, after practice, Vic Fangio was asked about Alexander Johnson being the one to call the plays in the huddle with Todd Davis out, and Vic, brutally honest, said, no, I'm not 100% comfortable with Alexander Johnson doing that yet. He still needs to learn and continue to develop. So that just shows you how important having Todd is there.
Yeah, a lot of people are kind of trying to, act like losing Todd Davis wouldn't be a big deal for the Broncos, because he's become such a scapegoat in so many different areas. And I couldn't disagree more with that. I realize he is not a perfect player by any stretch of the mind. But, one of the things that people often forget when players are scapegoats is that these guys are still starters for a reason. It's like Garrett Bowles. Yeah, you hate Garrett Bowles, just wait until you see the guy that would replace him. Like it only gets worse the further you go down the depth chart. And rarely does it get better.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of Garrett Bowles, on the right side backup was Calvin Anderson getting the 2nd team reps again. Can't mention his name. That was a nice choreographed moment, guys. And behind him, DeMar Dotson, still working with the threes. So no change there yet. Maybe we'll see a little change up after an off day at right tackle. That's when you can see changes like this happen.
That's what I'm wondering about, because usually you get to that first break after the practice that leads into an off day that has that goal line period. You get into that first break, and usually you see some shuffling of the depth chart and how guys are used coming on the other side of that. So how they align themselves on Sunday, I think, is going to tell us a lot about where they see DeMar Dotson, what kind of progress he's made in learning the scheme and getting up to speed in terms of his conditioning.
Yeah.
A couple of questions I have for you guys. One, are you any less confident in DeMar Dotson being the starting right tackle week 1?
Yes, I am less confident. I thought it was interesting that the Broncos, for the post-practice press conferences today via Zoom, put Elijah Wilkinson up there.
Yeah, getting some love out to the media. That is surprising. And yeah, Ryan, I think I have to be concerned at least a little bit. I mean, you're telling me he's not even getting a couple reps with the ones, and now you're telling me he's not even getting a couple reps with the twos? Yeah, that is concerning. And it's not like we're in week 8 of the season and he's missed half a season, so he needs to get conditioned. If the Broncos signed him, he probably should have been staying in decent shape, so it shouldn't take this long, at least to move him up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. My confidence meter was probably at 100 before camp. I've dropped down quite a bit to like 70 probably. And I might even be there might be some anchor bias that's playing a role there.
And man, Elijah had guess still has an opportunity to lock down that job. He's got to lock down the right side of the line for that to happen. They want him to win this job badly, and he's saying, "Nah, it's okay. We'll let other people try." And the Broncos say, "Nope, no, we're not. It's you."
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Elijah works really hard. He wants this job. He's trying to do everything he can, but I guess, my confidence is only going to keep dropping until he finally gets in there. The second that he plays, I'm sure I'll feel a lot better about it. But right now, it's only dropping. Okay, here's my last question here. If you were the Broncos, John Elway, Vic Fangio, Zach Azzani, Pat Shurmur, how would you handle the KJ Hamler situation? Because I'll just give you my take first to see if you guys agree with me. I think that they should be overly cautious with this. I think you're going to have to give up some short-term gains for long-term gains here. The number one way that KJ Hamler ends up being a bust is he never gets his hamstring healthy and never gets to show off that 4.3, sub 4.3 speed. That is his weapon. That is why you drafted him. It's his legs. It's all about his legs. And so they say, at least 2 weeks. I'm sorry. Not only would I say longer than that, I'm probably, if I'm in a management position, considering the redshirt year.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going as far as the redshirt year, but in my mind, I'd be writing off the first month of the regular season.
Yeah.
And he is not back until not 80%, not 85%. He's not back until he's 100%. And this is where all the depth you have in pass catching targets is your best friend, because you'd love to have KJ Hamler's speed. But you know what? You can go out there and you can have some 2 tight end sets that have some electric potential. Like if Jake Butt ends up making the team, you can go Jerry Judy, Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant, Jake Butt. You can use Tim Patrick. You can use Deshaun Hamilton in the slot, who was productive down the stretch last year. You have so many options with the talent that you have that there is no reason in the world to have KJ Hamler back before he is 100%. Put the bubble wrap on him, let him heal, and just in the minds of the Broncos, at least write him off for the first month of the regular season. That's what I would do.
Well, and the thing is, you weren't counting on him to be a huge part of your week 1 game plan. We kind of saw that the first few days of practice. We knew Judy was going to be that. They started off the first day making him earn it with the 2s. And then by the next practice, he was with the 1s. So we knew, okay, the Broncos aren't messing around with Judy. With KJ, he was getting some time with the 1s, but he wasn't like a key part in there. They were keeping Tim Patrick in there. And I expect that that's probably how it would have gone as well. And they were comfortable with Tim Patrick being a starter, one of the guys on the field a lot for week 1. So why would you rush back this guy who wasn't going to be a massive part, but was going to be a part of your offense? Why would you rush him back when he could just get injured? Ryan, I don't think you necessarily go the redshirt route right now, but if that's what it comes down to, that's okay with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm not saying you should. I'm not saying you should definitely go the redshirt route, but I'm just keeping in the back of my head saying, look, we'd rather have 100% KJ Hamler from now on or from next year on than 80% KJ Hamler, at any point. And it's just scary. I'm really worried about this because a hamstring isn't like a sprained ankle where you can just wait it out and it eventually goes away and you're back. Hamstrings are just fickle. And it's kind of hard to know when you're 100%, and it's kind of hard to know why you pulled it and how to prevent yourself from pulling it in the future. And there's a lot of guys who have had this problem haunt them. And I'm just really crossing my fingers that KJ Hamler doesn't end up being one of those guys.
Yeah, wouldn't that be such a shame, rushing him back and ruining him for this year, or Ryan, like you said, potentially even longer than that, because he is built off his speed. He is built on those hamstrings. And you brought that to have that added dimension that no one else on the team has.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, in terms of the Hamler injury and who it might open the door for, one and only 03, with a question here, says may open the door for good old Kendall Hinton. How's he been looking anyway?
Yeah, he's actually stuck out to me so far throughout camp. Not a huge day today, but a couple of days ago he was having multiple catches.
Yeah, he looks, every year there's undrafted wide receivers who look like they can play in the NFL, and I think that wide receiver is probably the deepest position in the entire NFL. And you can tell that when you go out to these camp practices, because even the last guy on the roster, not that he is the last guy on the roster, but like even guys like downtown Fred Brown are out there making plays in practice every single day. Kendall Hinton feels like that to me. There's, Khalif Raymond before him. You find these guys, you're like, yeah, these guys would not be a massive minus if they go out there on an NFL field.
And the thing is, every team has these guys too, which is why I think Kendall Hinton, the path for him this year is going to be passing through waivers and going to the practice squad after the final cut down. I don't think he sticks. I think Tyree Cleveland could snag the spot that would belong to Juwan Winfrey or Fred Brown, but I think Kendall Hinton's going to be a practice squad guy this year.
Well, Zach,
yeah, I think so too.
I'm going to get your final observations quickly. Just want to remind everyone, go hit us with a subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already, and then hit us with a thumbs up on this video. It really helps us get discovered, helps us expand the DNVR family, which I think everyone is on board with. Of course, if you're listening on the podcast form, head over to iTunes or wherever you listen, hit us with a nice review. That means a lot to us as well. Definitely subscribe on YouTube for sure. Okay, Zach, we know you're going to go write something and get all your observations out for thednvr.com, but is there anything we didn't touch on yet that we need to hit?
Justin Simmons had a pick off Drew Lock. I guess I should say Drew Lock threw a ball right to Justin Simmons, so he was able to catch it and have an interception. He would have been sacked anyways by Jarrell Casey. Drew Lock lobbed it up. Don't know what he was doing. Maybe the worst decision of training camp that he's had before. But for that to come 7 days in, I'm okay with it. And it was just one bad decision. Really lobbed the ball up, kind of triple coverage. Justin looked around and it hit him in the numbers. So easy pick for him. And guys, we talk about this guy every year. Peyton Manning at practice today. Now he was doing something with Broncos TV, but no matter what it is, he always finds a way to be around the Broncos.
That's future Denver Broncos owner Peyton Manning to you.
He said we when he referred to the Broncos. The royal we, as it were, perhaps, but he said we.
Maybe he should start practicing the my Denver Broncos.
Yes. I don't think he'd go that far, just because you want to incorporate the fans and everybody as a part of it. I think even if Peyton owned the Denver Broncos, he wouldn't say my Broncos. He'd say our Broncos.
Fair enough. Well, it's a big day for me, guys, because I just got the delivery of a tub of Brandon Spano green chili.
Whoa. Wow.
Look at this. This thing weighs like 5 pounds. It'll probably last me at least 2 days.
I was going to say, that better be gone by dinner, right?
Oh, gosh. It's so good.
What you want to do is, if you go have a breakfast burrito this weekend at the DNVR bar, have some and then put it on top of the burrito.
Well, we have a great green chili that goes on the breakfast burrito here already. I always will give the nod to Spano's homemade, but it's pretty darn good as far as that. I think we have one of the best breakfast burritos that I've had in Denver. So keep that in mind if you come down to the DNVR bar for brunch this weekend. But like I said, make sure to stay tuned to thednvr.com for Zach's observations, which will come a little bit later. I'm sure there'll be lots more good little tidbits in there. I always like reading the little other observations section because Zach always has some nice little ones there. But for now, I think that's going to wrap it up for us on the live portion of this. We'll see you guys on the podcast format.